Hello and welcome to Fintech Today. I'm Matt Hyde, the founder of Fintech Awards London, and we're here as part of the 3 days of intense judging in person for this year's 2025 Fintech Awards London. Now, I'm pleased to be interviewing somebody who's just been in for their category interview, so maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, I'm Savannah Price. I'm the founder and CEO of Serene, and we're an AI-driven platform all about helping organizations both identify but also to proactively support their vulnerable customers. So yeah, we're here interviewing for the awards and it's been great.
I was going to say, how was it? Because the process is very different to any other awards that maybe you enter, with having to come in person, meet a judging panel, which is 4 or 5 strong. How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I just love kind of meeting new people and presenting the company because I'm really passionate about what we're doing. But I think the process is quite different from other awards. So, doing the application, being shortlisted, but then also having the opportunity to actually interview with the panel. I think making those connections, the people on the panel are people who could be mentors, they could be clients, they could be investors. So I just think it's a really great opportunity that whether you win the award or not, you have the opportunity to kind of meet key stakeholders in your sector.
And would you say that's really important, I suppose, in your stage of journey where you are as a company?
I mean, definitely. So we're an early stage fintech, and I think for us, everything is built on your network, warm intros, new insights. I think there's a lot that we just don't know, and kind of any new connection, you learn a bit more and you get a little bit more embedded in the ecosystem, which I think really definitely does help us to grow.
And how were they? I mean, you can be honest. You got a tough crowd there today. How were they?
To be honest, I was here yesterday and I'm back again today, and 2 different judging panels, and think the questions they asked are brilliant. I think the interest in what we're building is kind of tangible. And I think tough questions, but I think people should ask the tough questions, particularly when you're in a sector that's supporting vulnerable customers in financial services. So
yes, tell us a bit more about Serene.
Yeah, so I guess, to tell you a little bit of background to the company and why I started in the first place. So I'm one of 5 siblings, and 3 of my siblings really struggle with mental health challenges. And interestingly enough, the only thing that we used as a family to actually preempt their issues was looking at their transactional data through their bank statements. That was an incredible kind of early warning system for us, and it enabled us to engage support around them to prevent those crises from escalating. And through Serene, I wanted to do the same thing, but at scale, to kind of support the millions of people who are struggling in silence and not necessarily getting the support or even the service that they require from their service providers. So we do that. We're leveraging AI, transactional data, and also behavioral science, essentially to help firms preempt any issues, act earlier and sooner, but then also deliver much more personalized, compassionate service to their customers.
Yeah, so I can see it's a real passion, and obviously with family members, but it's something that is so important to protect them going forward. Yeah. So that's amazing. So Fintech for Good, the category that you were shortlisted for, is absolutely perfect. So where do we see Serene going in the next 12 months? What's the challenges maybe? What do you want to achieve?
Yeah, I guess so. Kind of in terms of the stage we're at, we are now transitioning out of the pilot into kind of full contracting and recurring revenue mode. So we've got one of the tier 1 banks as both a customer and an investor. We're working with some consumer credit providers like Hastings Financial Services, which is actually a Welsh-based company. Yeah. So I guess for us at the moment is really just around that velocity. We've kind of processed 3 million consumer accounts to date. We want to kind of grow that number. We want to have a massive impact. But in terms of the use cases, we've been quite focused on consumer credit, but across the customer life cycle. So we're live at the point of quote around increasing access to credit. We're live at the point of collections in terms of kind of preempting issues earlier so firms can intervene and minimize losses. I think the next 6 to 12 months is really focusing on that in-life journey, which has been quite a challenge across the industry, and how we can kind of get that view so firms can act even more preemptively. But the one thing I'm super excited about, which is our probably fastest emerging use case, is looking at the link between vulnerability and scam susceptibility. So customers who have characteristics of vulnerability are 7 times more likely to be victimized by scammers. The models we've built around predicting financial distress from a vulnerability perspective are quite relatable to the scam world. So we're working with a couple of partners now just in terms of validating that. So I think that's the exciting thing about Serene. It's, if you can shift the narrative from vulnerable customer to a customer who requires support or has additional needs, you can kind of shift the conversation and look at a lot of different use cases that surround their financial lives and have a big impact. So that's what we want to do.
Wow. And I presume on a global scale ultimately.
On a global scale. So I think if we're thinking of our vision statement, it's to become a core enabler of the entire retail market. So in the same way that the bureaus are servicing not only financial services, but utilities, telcos, and the rest of it, and are kind of core to the functioning of the financial system, we see Serene as kind of another layer to that. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, look, it's been great meeting you. All the best. We find out on June the 18th. It's always a good party and a good night. If you haven't been before, you'll enjoy it.
No, I haven't been.
And yeah, we wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you so much.
Savannah.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Matt.